Some people find success in an already well-defined industry. Some people create their success in something different than anything else. Today's guest, Chuck Olsen, is a co-inventor of remote vehicle programming system and method, and has developed several methods for remote diagnostics, calibration, and programming. Chuck has 40 years experience in the automotive industry, ranging from apprentice technician to operations management and many positions in between. He maintains ASE Master Technician Certification and participates in multiple trade organizations. He's an instructor for Automotive Tech at Florida State College in Jacksonville and takes every opportunity to expand and share knowledge of new technologies and their innovative applications in automotive repair. How did he get where he is today, and how does his remote diagnostics work? Let's find out. Welcome to the Cutting Edge Garage Podcast.
Chuck Olsen with AirPro Diagnostics is our guest today. Chuck, thank you for taking the time to be here with us. You have over 40 years experience in the business and a pretty storied background. What I'd like to do today is go through what AirPro offers to the automotive industry. Before we do that, I'd like to talk a little bit about you. So give us a little bit of your background, your history. You know, in addition to the 40 years experience, you still maintain your ASE Master Certification, and I also understand that you're an adjunct instructor at the Automotive School. And which college is it?
That's Florida State College Jacksonville.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about who is Chuck Olsen and what you've done in the industry.
Well, I am basically a car nerd. Anything that has nuts, bolts, engines, whatever's involved, I'm drawn to it. And I was hooked very early. It started with Matchbox cars and Hot Wheels, moving on to slot cars, and went through vocational auto mechanics when they still had it in high school. So I'd like to see that come back to the high schools, but that's another story. And then went to work for a Chevrolet dealership when I was about 17 years old as a parts washer, parts fetcher. And it was probably early into that time that I realized this was actually a business to make money. I thought we were just working on vehicles, fixing them because they needed to be fixed. That's early on. A little bit naive there, but it's a business that I love, and I progressed from there into got my state inspector's license at 18, and then moved on. Went to work for Department of the Defense for a little while at Twill Army Depot in Utah, and took advantage of all the training programs that they had available there, and left there, went back to work for General Motors for Cadillac dealerships. Worked for Cadillac for quite some time, a good 20 years in Cadillac dealerships, and just worked my way through the ranks from mechanic to lead technician to technician trainer. And during some of my later years at Cadillac, I remember the introduction of OnStar, and I was just blown away by OnStar, what the potential was that could do. And I remember that point when we first started, I installed some of the very first systems. And when that took place, that they were looking for volunteers in the shop to take on the OnStar. And when I looked around, everybody was gone. So I was it. And kind of a good experience in my career. Progressed through there into automotive management, shop foreman, fixed operations, warranty administration. So learned a lot more of the facets of the industry as that went on, up until the crisis from 2008, 2009. And that's when I found myself in the aftermarket for the first time in my career. And at that point, got involved in the aftermarket, doing programming, mobile diagnostics, supporting shops that needed that kind of help, and got involved with the module repair business, repairing modules, bench programming modules, and that's where some ideas came up early on in the career to start getting involved in remote diagnostics. And there really wasn't anything available to provide remote diagnostics at the level that we felt like it needed to be done in order to deliver a quality service to somebody on the receiving end.
That's one of the biggest things that that I wanted to cover with you today, because there's a lot of myth about remote programming and remote diagnostics, how it works, what you can and can't do, who's doing it effectively, what kind of service you could or should expect. As evolved as the automotive industry is, there's still a lot of ambiguity in what you do. So currently you're the Vice President of Operations for AirPro Diagnostics, correct?
Automotive Technology, Senior Vice President of Automotive Technology. So what operations has been passed on to another individual in our organization, Mr.
Okay.
Josh McFarland.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about AirPro, what you're doing today, but then let's start from the beginning of remote diagnostics and kind of the origins through where we are today and the services that you guys offer many different customers in the business.
Yeah, so it was really born out of the module repair and module replacement business. So that's a pretty tough business all by itself for replacement modules. When shops need replaced, they may be discontinued or they may be really expensive. So what I was involved with the business, Module Experts is what it is, and that's still a sister company of AirPro Diagnostics today. So there's we're not always involved in that, but that's where a lot of the expertise had come from going forward. And with those customers, a lot of those modules needed to be programmed once a customer had purchased a module or had a module repair and needed an update. So we were doing bench programming on those that we could, and then as technology improved and more security was introduced, the module needed to be on the vehicle so that VIN numbers would match and those kind of things with the rest of the vehicle. So we started launching mobile business, but the amount of equipment that you had to carry around to address all the different vehicles. I mean, you're going from a Dodge vehicle to a Chevrolet vehicle to a Nissan to a Honda all day. That's a lot of equipment and a lot of computer programs that you'd have to carry around, and the ROI just wasn't there. And we went on a massive hunt for the holy grail of scan tools that we like to call it, but still doesn't really exist.
The quest continues.
The quest continues. We're getting closer, I think, but that's still going on. But in order for this to be effective, we had to figure out a way that we could connect the software and the expertise of a diagnostician or a guy that's familiar with the software to be able to reach these vehicles remotely rather than having to travel all over the place with vehicle expenses. And nothing existed in order to do that. So the first method that we had tried with that was transferring the information back and forth over the internet from a scan tool program back to the vehicle. And it had a lot of challenges, timing challenges and those kind of things, and had some success, but wasn't all the way there. And with those struggles, working through those, and we were fortunate enough to get to a point of a do-over, and the progression of more computing power in smaller packages, better, more robust remote desktop applications, and then remote desktop applications became available that you could customize and own and build yourself to do the kind of things you need to do. And that's what we put together with the AirPro device. So a couple other gentlemen in our organization, Scotty West and Steve Casella, had the initial concept, and we picked it up from there and improved upon it, and came up with a commercially viable process to deliver remote diagnostics and programming to the automotive industry.
So remote diagnostics is something that is somewhat of a niche business, meaning that there's not a lot of competitors in it. And one of the things that I just recently found out in our relationship and in speaking with you is this really kind of starts with you and your team. This whole business, this concept, is your baby, so to speak. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, pretty much. It's we came up with the terms pre-scan and post-scan. That's because we focused on collision. That's what we found early on is that collision, and from attending some trade shows, is that the collision industry was really in need of this type of service. They didn't have the expertise and the cycle times of the vehicles, shipping them around, trying to find out what needed to be done to the vehicle before the estimate started, was really a large area of need. So we came up with the terms of a pre-scan and a post-scan, and bringing the awareness of all the calibrations, all the things that needed to be done back in 2012, 2013. And it was nobody really heard of it before. And, the big question is, why do we have to do this? We've never done it before. Is what they didn't realize is that they had been shipping everything out, dealing with a lot of rechecks, dealing with a lot of rework, losing a lot of revenue because all these things weren't being addressed. In addition, the safety systems it was kind of appalling to me that the amount of required calibrations, even simple calibrations for airbags, airbag setups, steering angle sensors, those types of things, were just being overlooked and not performed. And you got people out on the road with these systems not operating properly, putting everybody at risk, just not the owner of the vehicle. So that's when we had pivoted over to addressing collision. And that's our main customer now, but now it's really expanding and exploding now that the process is more robust than it was before. So for introduction into other areas, mechanical, transmission replacement programming, those types of things.
So the technology that you guys have pioneered is also dependent on other technologies to make it work as well. So there had to be kind of a give and take, I would assume, throughout this process of what your limitations were based on the technology available at the time. And then you can make that, as you put it, more robust, your offering more robust, or your services more robust as time goes on, and the other dependent technologies evolving as well. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and a lot of this is really just innovation of technologies with the Internet of Things and the improvement in computers. I mean, now you can get a full-blown computer system that's equal to what was available 10 years ago in a small tablet computer, just because everything keeps getting smaller, and that made it feasible to put it all together in a single package. And then there's, additional things that we had to figure out how to overcome, especially when you're working on multiple makes and models, is the ability to switch from one programming application to another, because a lot of these applications don't play well together on the same machine. And that's a big challenge that shops have, that in order to cover multiple manufacturers of vehicles, they may need to have 4 or 5 different operating systems or laptop computers for each different one. And through some of the approaches that we've used, we are able to install and remove those very quickly so that we can go on to a different application using the same hardware and software package that our clients use that's in their shop.
Are you guys using, so your way of getting around that is, moving OE softwares as needed versus doing, say, multiple partitions or something like that?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And one of the difficulties with partitioning the laptops is not only do you have to have the operating system, each partition, you've got to purchase a license for that different operating system. So the cost and the software is almost the same as having to have multiple machines. So using a strategy of switching, installing, and removing the software packages as needed has really made the difference. And it takes some getting used to for with some of our clients, especially if they switch from one that has an obvious conflict. There may be a little bit of time involved with removing one program and putting another program on there. But as they get used to using the service and have some experience with it, they're aware of these things, and the shop starts planning more accordingly of what it is that they have to do next as far as planning their workflow so that we can address them remotely. And it saves them a tremendous amount of time on sublet time, mainly the cycle time on the vehicle, as well as costs as well. And then it gives them the opportunity to turn it into a profit center in their own shop. We have some clients that started offering our services to shops around them. So they've actually started subletting to some other shops that need those types of services as well.
So let's talk for a minute about the services themselves. What is it, and how does it work? What do you do for the customer?
So as we've got several things that we do for a customer, and I haven't touched on yet with the application that we use, which is our application, is proprietary to us, which is called Orion. And Orion is our diagnostic management system. It's a cloud-based system. It can be ran on a cell phone, on a laptop, on the shop's PCs, and that's where the shop requests services. And that's where all the billing takes place. That's where all the requests take place. That's where all the reports are stored within a permanent record. So a scenario on a single vehicle for the services that we offer, we would offer a pre-scan, we would offer a post-scan, we offer programming, and then we offer multiple levels of calibrations. So a vehicle comes in at the beginning of the repair that's been damaged. The first service would be a pre-scan, to where we check out everything on the entire vehicle remotely with a technician who is skilled on that particular manufacturer, familiar with the software. And this is much more, they're not just pulling trouble codes. So they look at the trouble codes, they look at the damage description, they look at the data, the live data on the vehicle, the service information, and they help the shop with a blueprint of that repair by identifying areas of concern and what the recommended remedies are. And these are the things that have been missing previously. And now the shop has that blueprint to when they go forward making their estimate and doing the repairs, so they can get it on the front end rather than on delivery day going, uh-oh, we didn't know about this, and now you got a delay on a repair. On the post-scan, it's similar to pre-scan, but close to the same type of service. But then we will log in, we will review what the pre-scan was, we know what needs to be done, we will make sure that all the trouble codes clear, and that and if there's anything that's left that doesn't clear, then we assist the shop in determining the remedy. And a lot of times it's just a connector they haven't plugged in. They haven't plugged in all the way, or a bent terminal pin that is preventing something to clear. And working with the shop directly, they now have the opportunity to take care of that right then and there, rather than subletting it out. And then if a module's been replaced, we'll provide programming for that module. And then if calibrations, there's a basic calibration, steering angle sensors, seat weight sensors, yaw rate sensors, windows, lift gates, all those kind of things. We'll go through and reset all those systems and do those calibrations. And then if there's an ADAS calibration and the shop is equipped, we will go ahead and perform an ADAS calibration. An ADAS calibration is a separate operation that involves the shop. The shop has to be involved with, needs to be involved and have the proper equipment, whether it be a target, a radar reflector, or a camera target, whatever the case may be. And we give them the exact instructions to set that vehicle up. And if they need help getting their shop set up, getting prepared, we will assist them to make sure that they have the right amount of space. So again, it's just another level of service. And as time goes on, we're finding more and more of these types of services are needed.
So you guys literally are trying to create the proverbial mechanic out of the box.
It's been nicknamed that before. It's tech in a box. So
There you go. That's awesome. So you're accomplishing that with what, 2, 3 guys sitting there back in tech support with all that knowledge in their head?
Yeah, at this point we started early out with AirPro on our second go around. We launched that in 2016, and we were literally 4 or 5 people that started this up. We learned quite a lot in the early days. Plus, we had the experience of the different method that we had tried before of transferring software from a central location to the vehicle. And today, we've got near 150 technicians. All of our technicians have the capability to work from home with remote desktop application.
Thanks to COVID.
Yep. We were pre-prepared for COVID. We'd already had about 60% of our workforce on any given day working from home, and over the last year and a half, the growth and the acceptance of this type of service and the results has really pushed growth for us as well. We moved into a new facility in a year ago, March, and we had outgrown that facility. If everybody showed up, I didn't have enough seats or parking spots, and that's when we really started remote workforce with technicians being able to work from home. And our technicians are high quality technicians, and they have the ability to self-manage, and we found most of the time they're much more productive working from a home office. And with the Orion management system, all the technicians, they have, we set up a system that we call skills-based routing. Anybody that's worked in a dealership or fixed operations has probably set up skill-based routing, but we set this up in the remote environment for remote diagnostics and remote programming, so that when a technician, he has his own dashboard and the job requests come up for him, it targets his primary area of expertise. So if he's a Mercedes technician, all the Mercedes are going to come up on his list first. Then if he's secondary on BMW, it will show in the BMW second. It would be opposite between a BMW and a Mercedes technician. That's across the board from Honda, Nissan, General Motors, FCA, Ford.
So how are you recruiting these guys? Because the shops themselves are also, this obviously with what you're doing, you actually have to hire technicians. This isn't somebody you can hire off the street and teach them how to operate a scan tool and say, good luck with that. Let us know how it works out for you. Where are you finding these guys? How do you recruit them? Because that's the biggest challenge that a lot of the shops, including the dealerships, are having today.
Yeah, and we're actually competing some with the dealerships today for that technician skill set. But I think one of the best, the advantage we have with working remotely is it's mostly the older guys that have come towards the end of their career. They have a lot of domain knowledge. They're very familiar with the vehicles, and they're ready to get out of the shop. And the culture that we've developed at AirPro is everybody helps everybody. So in the shop environment, the flat rate competitive environment just completely disappears. We onboard new technicians after about 2 or 3 weeks that we'll be talking to them. They're like, Chuck, I got to pinch myself. Is this real? I just feel so relaxed and so useful in what I'm doing without the type of pressure that they had in a flat rate shop.
Yeah, that dog eat dog gets old after a while for sure.
I lived it for a good 20, 25 years myself. So
yeah, you and me both. I don't miss that part of it. I also don't miss turning wrenches in the 90+ degree heat and the 90+% humidity that we deal with down here in the Southeast either. So, what are the key differences between telematics and remote diagnostics?
Well, it's telematics is a much different approach, and especially in the fleet businesses and trucking transportation business, telematics had really taken off to track vehicles, to give data of vehicle speed, how long the engine's been running, and to monitor things so they can apply prognosis and for planned maintenance to reduce the amount of downtime of those vehicles on the road. So there's been a little bit of telematics and automotive. The telematics and automotive has basically been user-based insurance with the small dongles that gives information, but the amount of information is limited, and it's more towards tracking. To where remote diagnostics, that's after the vehicle has entered the shop. So it's entered the shop. Now, if you have some telematics data that can give you some clues to why something failed in a pattern-based failure situation, you're ahead of the game. But normally in a collision situation, you don't have that type of data that you can pull up, and if there was a problem there or not. So at that point, that's the point that you need to collect the data and look at all the parameters. We have another term that we use called component level scanning. So there's a big misconception with the scan tool, and I've heard it for years. You plug the tool in and it tells you what's wrong with the vehicle, and you clear the codes and it's fixed. And
of course it does.
Yeah. It's I like to call it. We don't have a fix car now button on the scan tool yet. That's still way off in the future. Part of that holy grail of scan tools that the quest continues on. But those are the biggest difference. There's a technician actually involved with the data, reading of the vehicle, with the trouble codes, and trying to determine some things may be pre-existing, some things may be directly related to the accident, but they all need to be addressed with the customer. So there may be situations going on to a vehicle that's the customer's responsibility, not the insurance company's responsibility. Or if there's a recall on that situation, that's the manufacturer's responsibility. So we, in the background, we try to define those channels so that the customer or the person making the repair decision knows exactly where the responsibilities lie.
From your background as being a ASE Master Technician, being from the industry, what would you say the biggest challenges facing automotive shops are today as it relates to diagnostics? And would you say that diagnostics and repair are two separate things?
Yeah, there's a little bit of intermingling there, but they are two separate things. And one of the challenges that I see for technicians with diagnostics today, back in my day, and it's I made a lot of good money at working flat rate in the late 80s, early through mid 90s. And then as technology started improving and things kept getting more and more complex, diagnostics became much more difficult. It came rather than, we call it swaptronics. We think it's this module, let's just swap it and see if it fixes the problem. Just because it was so difficult with the intrusive amount of diagnostics. Well, scan tools has helped a lot of that. And so has the electronic access to service information and diagnostic information. But again, one of the biggest challenges is back then, a technician would memorize a system on a vehicle. This is how the system works. I memorized it. I know how this works. I've seen this problem before. This is what it is. This is how I address it. Today, systems are changing so quickly from mid-year to reprogramming events and repair events and diagnostic strategies to where trying to memorize the system actually works against you. So that's where you end up making mistakes with so many changes. So going back and reviewing the service information each and every time that you're addressing a vehicle, it's, there'll be some outliers there. You have the same year, make, model vehicle, exactly the same. There may be the same, but you still don't know if a procedure has changed. So you've got to go back to that service information and justifying the time for a technician, especially in a production shop, is a difficult part, especially in the flat rate world.
Yeah, I tell you, there's a lot of times Well, when I sold my Snap-on franchise and started working with Texa, I saw the opportunity there with Texa in a multi-brand aftermarket tool that covered so much stuff. So here's one VCI, and if you load all of the software, you have diagnostics for power sports, everything from jet skis through on-road motorcycles. You've got marine, which is jet skis through inboard diesels, off-highway diesel, heavy truck, and then car. And for me, when I first saw the tool, I thought, this is an awesome concept, and this is something that the market is definitely in need of. What I didn't realize at the time was there had really been very little time spent in adapting IDC5, or actually back then it was IDC4 software for North America. So they had an awesome platform. They're a great company with an awesome engineering team, but none of it worked. It just wasn't ready for prime time. And it took us probably, 2 years of, before we even released the software, just working on it to get it good enough to release. And that wasn't pretty. But in that time, leaning on my background, I did a lot of diagnostics and troubleshooting for basically what you guys do on that business model that you said wasn't profitable. So just for an FYI, you were correct. It's not very profitable, but it did at least put food on the table while we were trying to build a program. What I saw in the shops was a clear ignorance. I don't know if that's the best word, but of what's out there, how to use it, who does what. And there's a ton of resources out there for the shop owners to be able to, gain knowledge and information. How do you guys go about getting the word out that you offer this service? I'll give you an example because of that. Recently, we do a lot in training here. And then we've been doing, a lot of, with social media and COVID, we've been doing a lot of videos and things like that. And I had a shop owner whose son went to work for someone else, and he did all of his troubleshooting. So the guy's like, can you program a truck for me? And I'm like, not really. I don't have time. But this is a guy that when I needed to put food on the table while I was trying to build a program, sent me work. So how do you say no to that? And I didn't. I said, sure, Jacob would love to. And I sent Jacob. So Jacob gets over there, and it's a fuel pump module on a Chevy. And Jacob's extremely busy too. He's my undercar product manager and my trainer. So it's not like he has a hole in his schedule that he needed to fill. You get over there and you can't communicate with the module. So the guy calls me back. He's like, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. Can I just tow the vehicle over to you? And again, I want to say no, but he was a guy, he was there for me when I needed somebody to be there for me. So I felt obligated to help. We get the vehicle towed over. Jacob goes through it, finds some wiring issues, fixes the wiring issues. Then we program the fuel pump module that they had put in on the diagnosis, and the vehicle goes back down the road. There's a lot of those guys out there still today in 2020. That's one of your target customers, is it not?
Yes, yeah. For that assistance, and something that came up as well as you were talking about that is the technical hotlines. So there's been some companies that have put together some technical hotlines to try to help the guys that are out in the field. And those can be helpful, valuable services for the technical hotline. But the missing piece is the working in conjunction with the guy in the shop, with being able to have live data right in front of you on your screen, communicating with the guy in the shop, and with the customers.
And I don't want to cut you off because you bring up a good point, and I'm sorry. So there's two schools there. There's the guy that either can or doesn't want to do that part himself, which you're providing that service of, we'll let you, we'll do that as much as we can for you. And then there's the other side, which is the guy that's willing, but maybe doesn't have the expertise or the background or experience to go that far into drivability or electronic diagnosis. Do you do both? So do your customers have the ability to, buy your equipment, go as far as they can, then get you involved? Or is it, we're more catering towards the customer that basically wants or needs us to do all of it for them? What is your business model?
Our business model on this right now is we do it for them, but it's a partnership with the person at the shop. And we have gone into to some as well as with the shops using the equipment independently and contacting us, and we would get the copies of all those reports. And one of the things that we found a bit unnerving as we are reviewing the reports that came in that the shops were doing independently, we were spotting all kinds of things that they were missing. Then that led to, some complaint. Well, the tool didn't do what I expected it to do. I couldn't get this done. I couldn't get that. And we'd get involved and we'd find, just like the situation, it couldn't communicate with the fuel pump module. Well,
welcome to my world.
Yeah. So, the guy's like, well, this tool doesn't work. So we get a guy involved. He starts doing network diagnosis and starts steering the guy. Well, have you been to the fuse box? Have you checked these grounds? You're checking it. Bam, there's the module. And we go ahead and walk them through. Now, those are a small percentage of times that those things happen, but those are the things that use up all your resources when those types of things happen. So our model is we will do it for you kind of thing. I do have a couple of exceptions. So if we have a good relationship with the shop has a very strong diagnostic technician that we're comfortable with, because the other thing, it has our name on it. These scan reports has our name on it. So if I've got a technician that's using our tool that is printing out scan reports that say AirPro is on them, we need to be confident that the guy at the shop that's using it independently knows what he's doing. And then we are still available. But those clients are few and far between that we have on that. Those are, I call them the 1%ers. There's a few guys, but they're getting older and they're leaving the industry. So recruitment into the industry is something else that we really need.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree desperately. There's, recruiting's going down and the old guys are going away for sure. They're sitting in the air condition like you, fixing stuff remotely.
Yeah. I don't miss 115-degree days in the shop, but where an overheated car pulls in late in the afternoon and they need to wait on it. So I don't miss those days.
So tell us a little bit about who your competition is, and you don't have to name them if you don't want to. How many competitors do you have? How big is this business? I mentioned earlier it was kind of almost like a niche type thing where there's not a lot of to look at it from the perspective of what we do. Years ago, you could have any scan tool that you wanted as long as it was OTC or Snap-on in the aftermarket. Mm-hmm. And obviously today that's just not the case. There's a new scan tool company every other day, it seems like, jumping into the market. But for a long time it was, they kind of owned the lion's share of the market between the two of them in aftermarket diagnostics. What does your competition look like?
So we do have some competition with the aftermarket scan tools, no doubt, but it's really comparing apples and oranges. So because the part that we put together, I call it the pilot. So you can have a great plane, but it's not going anywhere if you don't have a pilot to fly it. So it's the same thing with scan tools. Now the AirPro scan tool is we don't create the software. We we don't make the interfaces and build the interfaces. There's a lot of great companies out there, like yours as well, that make great diagnostic software and interfaces to communicate with these vehicles. So I characterize the AirPro as our remote technician's toolbox. So with the multiple diagnostic applications that are available, whether it's an aftermarket application or an OEM application, the technician that's using it, the remote technician, has all those tools at his fingertips to be able to use the most appropriate tool for the job at hand to get it done quicker. So that's one of the biggest differences that we have out there. There are a couple other companies that are getting involved in remote diagnostics or remote programming in some fashion, using some different methods, and that's a good thing. Because this market is so big, and with the transition into more autonomous vehicles and autonomous systems on vehicles, or automatic systems on vehicles, I struggle with this concept of a vehicle being autonomous. So it, automatic fits in my mind a little better. But those things with self-driving vehicles, more driver assistance systems on those vehicles is just going to increase the need of that expertise exponentially. So this market is huge. I have a very small section of the market today. If I was able to capture the whole market, I don't know what we would do. So competition is a good thing. I like it, and it keeps pushing everybody else. When somebody does a little bit better, we're still competitive in nature. That you never can get the flat rate technician even after he leaves the shop to go away. So that competitive spirit always remains. And well,
there has to be a number two. If there's not a number two, then I don't feel good about being number one.
Exactly. It's it wouldn't be any fun. How much fun would a pro baseball be if there was only one pro baseball team?
Yeah, not fun at all. There has to be a number two, and for the record, number two is the first loser.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But
so what's your better mousetrap? What are you guys doing different or better than in your world than what your competitors are doing?
It has to do with the level of service, and it comes back to our Orion diagnostic management system. So with all our customers, we have a 10-minute response pledge, and that has really been huge for our customers. So when you have mobile or trying to make an appointment at a dealership, or trying to get services done, especially in high production shops, you need an answer right away. So you can't be waiting around for something to happen. So if they have our tool or more than one tool, depending on the size of the shop, once they put on their service request online and connect the tool to the vehicle and put the tool in the correct state, we're on that vehicle within 10 minutes. And we just do not break. We live and die by that response pledge that we have with all our technicians. And currently, today, pre-COVID, our average response time was about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. So occasionally there's some outliers that might take a little bit longer, but that was the average. After COVID, things slowed down a little bit. We were at like 45 seconds. And since things have rebounded, we're back around the 2-minute mark now that things have started to return back to normal with our customers. So we're very careful about our growth. We don't do a lot of marketing. We do some light marketing, but if we flood the market and really start pushing the tool, and I don't have the technician support there to deliver the service accurately and timely, it doesn't make sense for me to put a lot more tools out there. So we grow both of those things simultaneously, because it's about the technician, the pilot that's flying the plane, and having a good plane for him to fly.
The 10-minute SLA is huge. Running a lot of tech support for what we do, we have a very similar SLA, although the level of service that we do is different. We although we do vehicle-based diagnostic assistance, we're not taking it to the level that you guys do. So I can appreciate, though someone else may not be able to appreciate what that 10-minute response time commitment actually means. I have a great appreciation for it, for sure. So you're at 150 technicians. You're predominantly in, or not predominantly in, but started with the body shop industry, correct? Or refinishing industry. Branching out more and more to fleets, from what I understand. I told you when we were speaking the other day, I told you I had a random local shop call and say, do you sell AirPro? And I had that puzzled look on my face, like, what do you mean, do I sell AirPro Diagnostics? No, that's obviously you do not know what they do. So no, I don't sell that. But let me get you in touch with. Let me get you a number of some guys you can call. So for those customers that are looking for that level of service, how do they reach out to you? Where do they find you? What's the best way to get in contact with you and things like that? What is it that you want the customers to know?
The best way to get a response, to get in touch with our team, is through our website at www.airprodiagnostics.com. That's AirPro with diagnostics completely spelled out .com, and go to the information request tab and put in your information. One of our representatives will be back in touch with you. I don't have a 10-minute response pledge in that area, but they will be back with you within an hour. It's or within the day for information, and they'll gather some information and determine if our service is a good fit for the shop that's contacting us. I do get a lot of shops that contact us. Like I've had mobile technicians that have contacted us and wanted to know if they could use our tool for mobile services. And once they find out what the service is, it's a different concept. So the perception is they see the AirPro, it looks like a scan tool. So they're looking to purchase a scan tool. And of course, these guys are searching for that holy grail of scan tools as well. So anything new that comes up, all technicians are curious. Is this the one?
Feel free to send them my way, Chuck. I'll be glad to talk to them. Not a problem.
Will do. So but yeah,
you guys are on social media as well, correct?
Yes.
I see a lot of Facebook. Yep. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, and I believe we just launched a LinkedIn page as well under the business. And I'm available on there. It's under my own name, Chuck Olsen. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly, either on LinkedIn or on Facebook with private messages. My direct number, if you want that, is 904-669-5104. That's my direct cell phone number. So if you don't get an answer, please leave a message, because my screening robot will kill it if you don't leave a message. So so leave a message and I'll call you back.
There you go. I'm not responsible for whatever messages you may end up with on your voicemail.
I had second thoughts about that, but my phone number is pretty much out there all over the place as it is. So
there you go.
Yeah, we're heavily involved in a lot of the associations and different organizations. We've been members of Equipment Tool Institute for quite some time. That's where where all the diagnostic information from the OEMs is pretty much brokered, negotiated, and with the TechNet library. So heavily involved there. It's recently joined the board of directors with ETI this year. We are
Congratulations on the appointment, by the way.
Thank you. So looking forward to how things will progress from here. With that, we are been longtime members of Society of Collision Repair Specialists, Collision Industry Conference. We're very involved with ASA and also ASE. We're involved with ASE with the coming up with the standards for a new technician certification for ADAS systems. So we stay heavily involved in industry activities, and those it just keeps the fire burning by staying involved in those kind of things. And between myself and other members on the executive team, we participate in just about anything that we can. And a lot of new people are now knocking on our door. I'm getting questions as, can you hook this up to a boat? Can you do a motorcycle?
The answer is yes. And I can help you with that. I can help you with that.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of inquiries of different areas with the same concept. So the same concept has got a lot of verticals to be applied to, and there's a ton of business out there.
There is, and regardless of what the industry does, diagnostics isn't going away. So even if we lean more towards, the e-platform or, hybrid systems, whatever the case may be, there's still going to be onboard processors that are going to need to be diagnosed. There's still going to be, the more we go, what was your term? It wasn't, you didn't like autonomous. What did you call it? Automatic systems. Automatic systems. So, for some people, that's not necessarily a bad thing. For those people that don't know what the skinny pedal on the right is, or right, they don't look around before, they turn left from the right-hand lane, stuff like that, it's probably a really good plan. For the rest of us that actually like driving, I'm not a big fan of the car driving me. But the more we lean toward that autonomous type system, the more calibrations and everything else that are going to be needed, regardless of what the powertrain is, correct?
Oh yeah. The day is coming that there's going to actually be maintenance type calibrations over a period of time as these systems become more complex and more capable of what it is that they're doing. So for the safety level, there may be a day that the safety inspection comes back to check these systems and check the calibrations to make sure that it's worthy to go back out on the road and drive itself.
Awesome. Well, Chuck, is there anything else that you want the audience to hear?
Don't give away diagnostics, whatever you do. That drives me nuts.
Oh God, thank you. Don't work for free.
Yeah, absolutely. I've done diagnostics in the shop, in the dealership for the biggest part of my career, and I see it's changing today. But it used to be, if you buy the repair, I'll diagnose it for free. So everybody thought and that's one of the most difficult, most critical parts of the entire process. Don't give it away. It's a valuable skill. It takes a lot of tools and a lot of expertise in order to do it correctly.
Yeah, I agree. I've had that debate with a lot of shop owners, good friends of mine. And, when the building that we're in right now is our training center, but it used to be a shop that I owned before we closed it. And I've been in the equipment business for a long time, so I know a lot of the local shop owners in this area. And we've had conversation after conversation. Some of them are, they will just roll the diagnostic fee into the ticket somehow. And my argument has always been, you don't need to be embarrassed or ashamed of charging for diagnostics. If what you need to do is educate the customer on the service that you're performing so that they better understand it. Yeah,
absolutely. So a lot of education there with the customers and the business owners and insurance companies of all that's involved. But like I said, whatever you do, don't give it away.
Well, stick it to the insurance companies. Every chance you get, anybody listening, break it off on them. They do that to me repeatedly. No, I'm just teasing. It's a love-hate
relationship. I like insurance. I just don't like premiums.
Yeah. I like to feel safe that I'm going to have, some kind of coverage if bad stuff happens. But I feel as though it's like when I go to Vegas and I come back and I'm like, I really shouldn't have spent that money because I knew I wasn't coming back with it when I started. I just probably shouldn't have done that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I feel like with insurance. I never use it, constantly pay for it. So Chuck, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. I know you're busy. I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to make sure that we got your message out there. I think what you guys do for the industry is huge. I've had the opportunity or the privilege, I should say, to know you for a little while now in the business, and I think what you and what your company do for the industry is awesome.
Well, thank you. It was my pleasure. I appreciate you inviting me on.
Awesome. Thanks again, Chuck. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you again soon in the Cutting Edge Garage.